So what I use to actually clay a vehicle is going to be my Nanoskin Clay Mitt, fine grade. It's going to be Optimum No Rinse, diluted as a clay lubricant. This is both a rinseless wash method and a clay lubricant. And this is where I have my clay lubricant by professionally labeled O&R right there. Yes, a lot of times you can use like regular shampoo. You can either foam the vehicle down and just clay the entire vehicle by foaming it down and then claying it. You can add this into a bucket of water, fill it up, and then dunk your clay media into the bucket, get it sudsy, and then work on the vehicle. Now, my biggest drawback to that, and the reason why I just go with Optimum No Rinse as the wash cycle, like this is what I use to wash the vehicle, and then use a clay media and then wipe it down, is because I work in the heat a lot. I'm in Texas. We have terrible, ugly, and nasty heat and humidity. So my biggest drawback is that I have to be able to work in direct sunlight, and sometimes, I mean, the panels are like so hot, like you don't even want to touch it because it's gonna burn you. So I have to work against the weather. So I have to use something. If I'm using a soap, a traditional soap, the soap is gonna dry faster than what I can get around the vehicle. So even, yes, I can foam it down, but if it's really hot outside, I have to work really, really, really fast in order for the soap not to dry. Yes, you can use, clean water like through filtering systems, like Spotless, I forget what it's called, Spotless CR system, CR Spotless system. But I mean, again, that's just an extra step you have to take. I just use tap water because that's just more convenient for me. So that's why I don't go with the traditional soap method. I primarily, if I can, stick with Optimum No Rinse as a rinseless wash and as a clay lube. There's times where the vehicle's too dirty and I have to go with a traditional wash method. But for now, that's what I use. Nanoskin wash mitt, Optimum No Rinse as the washing, and Optimum No Rinse diluted as a clay lubricant for claying. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to primarily talk to you about the Nanoskin Clay Mitt. I've been getting a lot more questions and emails about this specific clay media that I use. So this is primarily used to, it's used for to remove the above surface contaminants off a vehicle's surface. So maybe, you wash the vehicle, but you still have that rough texture to it. You run your hand over it. You have that gritty feel to it. That's just essentially stuck on dirt, debris, iron fallout that's stuck on your paint and isn't being able to remove from a typical wash. You need a different type of media, a different type of tool to remove that real stuck on dirt that's actually in the clear coat. So traditionally, for however long, we use just a clay bar, and these are and this one specifically is very, very popular, as this is the Mother's clay bar kit that you can find like at AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Target, Walmart. So this is like one of the most popular ones on that I've seen, at least, that I'm familiar with. So this is what we use for a very long time. You can open it up, you can smush it, and you can work it on the surface. Once it gets contaminated, you just squish it back together, pat it down, and then you have a clean surface. Now the problem with these though is that once you drop it, you're pretty much done. Just because they're so tacky, they can pick up so much material, which is why they're used as a clay bar. That as soon as you drop it, it just picks up so much contaminants, and you don't want to rub that grit or that dirt or those rocks that you pick up on the clay bar back into the paint, because that's obviously not a good thing. So there's plenty of different other clay medias out there. Again, you have the clay bar, you have a clay mitt, you have a clay pad, you have a clay disc, you have a clay towel, you have a clay bar. Like, there's so many different types of media now. So this one, as I've been saying, it's a clay mitt. Now there's going to be two different types of clay grades, so to speak. You're going to have a fine grade, and then you're going to have a medium or hard grade. And essentially what that means is that just the actual texture, like how aggressive the media is, a clay media. For instance, this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm 87.6% sure that I'm correct on this one, is that the blue is a fine grade mitt, meaning it's not that aggressive. I think the aggressive color for Nanoskin is the gray one, and the gray one is more aggressive. This one not as aggressive. But I use this for just about any type of clay, like if there's overspray on a vehicle, if there's like a specific spot that has some type of stuck on whatever it may be, I'm gonna just use a fine grade. You might have to use it a few more times in terms of like if the paint is like heavily coated with overspray, meaning like someone, if you're painting a vehicle in a garage and then the wind carries that spray, the actual paint to like a vehicle, and then it lands on that vehicle, that's overspray. So if it has heavy overspray, it's going to take a little longer with the fine grade because it's not as aggressive, but you can still get it done because I've gotten it done plenty of times with just a fine grade. Would the aggressive clay mitt work better if it's like a heavily coated vehicle with overspray? Of course, but again, you can still get it done with just one clay mitt. And I'm saying that because you don't need to go buy, because this is I think like $45, so it's definitely not cheap. So if you buy two, you're almost like at 100, plus bucks, depending where you're purchasing it from. So it's not cheap by any means necessary. I think this is like the kit itself is like 20 bucks or something. So it's a much higher price point. But the good thing about this is why I like it so much, and I'm gonna demonstrate later on the vehicle, is that it's reusable. So this first of all you want to break it up into chunks, right? If you're gonna do like one panel, you don't need this whole thing. You can use like a little chunk here. As you're moving along, you can just break it up into thirds, fourths, fifths, however much you need in order to complete a car. Once the clay gets contaminated and it's all black and dirty, you just smush it together, repatty it, and then you're good to go with another side. With this one, you can just go the entire time. You don't have to do anything about it. You can rinse it off if you want, but this is just you put your hand in there, or you just hold it, and then you can go in on working the surface area, and you can just there's no like intermediate session between, like you have to like crunch it up, you have to break the piece off. You just work. The other plus side to this is that if you drop this, you're done. You gotta throw that bar away. At least that small section that you're reusing. With a clay mitt, if you drop it, you just have to rinse it off. And it's Nanoskin on the direction says if you drop it, you just rinse it off and you keep on going. So it's a huge changer in terms of like if you drop this, that's it. If you drop this, you rinse it off, you're good to go. So that's primarily the main reasons that I like it. It's one from, again, there's a clay towel, clay mitt, clay bar, clay pad, there's plenty of clay medias now. I just personally like this one. I use the clay towel, I've used the clay bar, I've used the clay disc. This is just my favorite as of now, Nanoskin. I'll leave the link in the description box down below for you to purchase on Amazon. I am an affiliate, so I get a small commission. But this is by far what I highly recommend. So yes, there is a huge price difference between the two, but you have to think about it is like, especially if you're doing this as a business, which I am, these are like a lot more prone to fall on your, because the key to claying is you have to have lubrication. Like you have to have a lot of lubrication. That way the clay media glides over the paint. If there's no lubrication, you're pretty much essentially like this. Like, have you ever seen those water slides where people, like, if the water slide is lubricated, meaning there's water on it, you can like, belly dive on it or just slide on it however you want, and you're gonna slide on that water slide. Now, if you're sliding and then there's like a small patch of dryness, as soon as you make contact with that dry patch on that water slide, you're just gonna like come to an immediate stop and get like hardcore burn, like you're gonna get burnt because it's essentially just you rubbing rubber with your flesh, and it burns, right? So it's the same concept with claying. If there's no lubrication, you're essentially just having some you're gonna have a lot of friction between the clay and the paint, and it's gonna catch really hard. And that's what causes, like, if you're gliding it across the paint, it catches it, your hand keeps on moving, this stops and it falls. It's just kind of cumbersome to work around. So this is why I'm a huge fan with this, and you gotta have a lot of clay lubricant for it. I kind of went off track, don't know where I was going with there. So as far as clay lubricant go, I use Optimum No Rinse. You can use this for both a rinseless wash method and a clay solution as well. The dilution ratio for a clay is add 2 ounces for every 1 gallon of water. So that's going to be your clay media. This is what that is. Okay, and you can't really tell, but there's a light layer of dust, and hopefully you're picking that up. You can somewhat see it right there. Those lines right there. It's obviously, I can see it in person, but in video it's a little bit different. So anyways, I'm going to do a quick rinseless wash of this section, and then we can inspect the actual paint, because obviously there's a layer of dirt. We have to remove that and then see if there's any above surface contaminants. So again, I'm going to be using my Optimum No Rinse just as a lubricant to kind of just saturate the area a little bit to make the cleaning process a little easier. So not overly saturating, just something to give it some type of lubrication. Next, I'm using Optimum No Rinse, just as a rinseless wash as it's meant, with just 1 towel, because I'm just using a small section, so I'm not going to use a wash mitt. I'm just doing a small section. For you guys, I'm going to just wipe it down, not too worried, because this car hasn't been properly maintained by any means necessary, so I'm not really worried about anything, because it doesn't matter. Okay, so there, I washed it, correct? So now I'm not going to dry it right now. I'm going to go straight into claying, because number one, the car's not that dirty. It was a super light layer of dust. And then I'm gonna get my Nanoskin wash clay mitt. I'm gonna maybe give it a few more sprays of Optimum No Rinse as the clay lube. And then I'm gonna go directly into claying. I'll spray a few sprays on the glove, on the mitt itself, and then I will work the area. Now hopefully it's picking up on the camera, but there is a little difficult to do both. I'm just gonna lubricate it just a little bit more because it is hot. So if you can hear it, there's just a light layer of overspray on it, nothing too big. And as you work it, I remember, especially if you're working in the heat, always lubricate the area. Because I'm working in direct heat. The panel itself, the hood is already hot. So just work it in. Again, you're not putting any type of down pressure, like you're just letting it carry across the panel. You're not actually putting any down pressure whatsoever. Okay, and I can set this aside over here. And then I'm going to take a clean microfiber towel for the most part. And I'm going to just dry it off. Now this vehicle is in pretty bad shape in terms of the paint. Like you can see there's a lot of haziness to it. Or kind of hazy in the paint. Or a little foggy. So that's a the clean is not going to fix any of that. But if the vehicle is, as I just showed you, if the vehicle does have above surface contaminants, meaning there is something you actually have to pull off, all you have to do is run your hand over the paint. And the panel's kind of hot, so I can't really do it that much, but you're just going to run your hand over the paint, and if you feel a rough texture and actually hear the grit to it, then that means that you have above surface contaminants and you need to remove it with some type of clay media. As you're working it, as you're claying and you're working it in, the texture and the noise of the above surface contaminant is going to diminish. So when you first start off, it's going to start very rough. You're going to hear that grittiness, that just like almost you agitating the surface area. You're going to hear that grit. As you work it in, as you keep it lubricated and you're working it in, that sound and that texture is going to diminish, meaning you're actually pulling it away from the paint onto the clay media and giving yourself a clean work surface to either apply wax or to start polishing the paint. Okay, again, quick demonstration. Let me just wash the vehicle. I'm going to wash, wring out the water, just wash this one section. And you can see like the water steaming off the vehicle because it's so hot. So that's why I'm not a big fan of using foam or anything, because I simply can't always do it in the areas that I work in. So right now, like, I'd want to run my hand over it, but it's actually pretty hot for me to do that. Let me set this here for a little bit. So there's actually not much above. It's not super gritty or anything, so there's no overspray or anything. But I'm still gonna go ahead and just lubricate the area for the clean process. It's really hot. I'm gonna get it really saturated. I'm gonna take this gently. I'm not putting any down pressure on it by no means whatsoever. No down pressure, just letting it glide over the paint. I'll stop right there because there wasn't much to it. I'll take a dry microfiber towel. Wipe it off, and then from here again you can go to applying your wax or your polish. Okay, and that completes my review of the Nanoskin Clay Mitt. Again, I'll have a link to Amazon down below to purchase that product if you'd like. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. In terms of choosing the right clay media, look, again, there's plenty. There's like 6, 7, 8 types of clay media that you can choose. There is no right or wrong answer to it. It's number one, you first have to be able to remove the above surface contaminants, right? That's the main goal of anything. So whichever clay media you use to get those results, kind of irrelevant. Second is, okay, which type of media do you like? Again, I haven't personally purchased the other ones. I've just used it with other detailers around my area, and I've been most happy with the clay mitt. Again, I use a clay pad, clay towel, clay bar, regular clay bar here, and I've just been most happy with this one. Would I tell you to go out and buy like 4 different clay medias at different grades? No, not at all. I would just say choose one clay media, whatever that is, at whatever grade. Use that for however many cars that you can do. If you're doing this as a business, 2, 3 cars. Especially this is a personal like hobby of yours, and you're just doing your vehicle or like your wife's or husband's, brother's, sister's, father's, mother's. I mean, you really don't need that many. You don't need that many at all. Just buy one, get that car over with. And you probably won't need it again at least till like 6 months to a year if you're just doing like your car. So definitely wouldn't tell you to go buy 2, 3 different kinds. Just try one, use it for as long as you can, or borrow it from someone. And then if you don't like it, you kind of like it, So you want to try something new at that point, then yeah, of course, go buy something else. But yeah, even if you're doing this as a business, you don't need that many. I mean, again, it's to pull off the above surface contaminants, to then apply your wax or polish. If you can get that done, whichever method you go about, that's just a personal preference at that point. So again, leave any comments, questions you have down below, and I'll see you on the next video.